Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Gladstone City Council for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. It is 6:30 p.m. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body, to the extent reasonably possible, to make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means and provide opportunity for members of the general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to the extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform. The Zoom instructions are on the agenda to the meeting. If members of the public would like to comment on an agenda item, either virtually or in person, they were to have emailed their comments or their requests to speak to the city recorder prior to noon today, and individuals attending in person may submit a speaker card to the city recorder at the beginning of the meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The City Council will also have Gladstone City event announcements during the meeting and business from the audience at the end of the meeting. To speak during either time, virtually or in person, again, you were to have emailed a request to the city recorder prior to noon today with your name, topic of discussion, and city of residence, and individuals attending in person may submit a speaker card to the city recorder at the beginning of the meeting. Again, comments are limited to 3 minutes. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Councillor Huckabee.
Present.
Councillor Mitchell.
Present.
Councillor Blau.
Present.
Councillor Labonte.
Present. Present.
Councillor Garlington.
Present.
Mayor Milch.
Present. Please stand for the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, today marks 2 weeks since we have officially been part of the Clackamas Fire District, and we have our annual report scheduled tonight from our chief to start us off. So please come forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the city administrator Betts. Oh man, am I excited. I love that you started that off just like that, Mayor. It's been 2 weeks and there's been some blood, sweat, and tears to get here. And I just want to start off with a little bit of a quote, and I promise you I'm going to be quick. But Nelson Mandela said that what counts in this life is not the mere fact that we have lived, but it's what the difference that we've been able to make in the lives of others. And when I think about that quote, and I think about what that means, and I reflect on the last couple of years with this partnership and with the permanency now of this relationship, I think of the vision that City Administrator Betts had. I think of the rallying to get everybody to understand that vision. I think of personally my growth as a fire chief and the mentorship of City Administrator Betts and the impact that she's had on my life and some of the toughest times of my life. And I'm going through some of them right now. She's always been there to be able to be an ear and a sounding board. And so now when I think about that quote deeper as well, but real quick, thank you for that. Okay. When I think about that deeper, I think about the courage and the belief that you all had in this vision. And this is saving lives. And that's what this is about. And you believed in it, each and every one of you. And I know that inevitably change is not easy, but every single one of you stood tall and believed in this conviction, in this cause. And now lives are going to be saved. And they've already been saved by the courage that it took for each and every one of you to look at status quo and say, how can we get better? And how can we provide better level of service? And it has nothing to do with what was going on in Gladstone before, because the fire department in Gladstone gave their all and they are amazing men and women. But how can we be better for the communities that we have a deep desire to serve? And this is just a reflection of that. And if it's okay, really quickly, I have a couple challenge coins that I want to hand out to each one of you. And what this challenge coin represent every year annually at our award ceremony, when somebody does something heroic or when they're given an award for saving somebody's life, we give them an award and then we give them this challenge coin. And that's what this challenge coin represents, is saving somebody's life. And what you guys did is you had the courage to make a decision, and the voters believed in this to help save people's lives. And so I cannot thank you enough for that. So really quickly, if that's okay. So. Yeah. And you've been there from the get-go. Okay. And then forgive me, please. I had a big stack and I left them, so these were they. So I got you guys next time, okay? All right. Busy year for Clackamas Fire. 2 successful annexations with Gladstone and with Sandy. And again, none of this would have been able to have happened without you. Call volume for the last fiscal year. Now that's going to be from July 1 until June 30. We had 2,169 responses in Gladstone. Of that, 62% were medical in nature, 13% were fire, and 25% were classified in other or motor vehicle accidents or public assists. I want to give you a quick little update on wildfire. Clackamas County Fire Departments across the county, we're seeing an increase from when fire season starts to where we are right now on wildland and natural vegetation fires. So far, Crew 30, which is our Type 2 IA hand crew, has been requested and deployed to Alaska. They are since back home. But as well as Crew 30, we had some incident management teams, some overhead from the Wildland Division that were requested and served in Alaska to help them up there with some of their wildfire season. They got back home, and within a week, they were deployed down to Southern Oregon, and that's where they are at right now at the Evans Fire. There's 2 conflagrations going on in the state, one in Eastern Oregon, one in Southern Oregon. We have 8 members of Clackamas Fire that are serving on the incident management team. Both operations section chiefs are Clackamas Fire personnel. And we have 1 task force in Eastern Oregon as we speak. We are anticipating the incident management team as well as crews to be back this weekend. It's continuing, and we're forecasting continued hotter weather, drier weather, and the prolonged drying of fuels is what is causing a lot of these fires. We had a brief stint in June and early July that gave us a little bit of moisture, but the fear that we all have is that all that's done is get that fuel on the ground to sprout up quicker, and then it's drying out with all this hot weather that we're getting. So it's important to stay vigilant. It's important to maintain fuels, and it's important to for our community members to understand creating that zero zone of 0 to 5 feet from anything that can burn around their homes, or protect them from ember showers that are caused from wildfires. Fuels mitigation and engagement based on the Clackamas or the Community Wildfire Protection Plan and what was funded from Title III funding from the county. Clackamas Fire was able to complete fuels mitigation on Billy Goat Island this last year, and that was in partnership with City Administrator Betts in Gladstone. The crews used a masticator to remove large piles of brush, as well as Crew 30 removed hazard trees. As part of the City Parks and Recreation Board work plan, the city's working to complete a fire risk and management assessment across Gladstone's parks and providing recommendations based on the findings. Clackamas Fire is excited about partnering if it's appropriate and as requested by City Administrator Betts for that. ISO reassessment. Ratings have improved from a 4 to a 3, and now the annexation is finalized. There's another reevaluation process, and so hoping that we can move that up to where we currently are at, as is, which is a 2. But the ISO is based on water supply, dispatch, training, fire inspections, staffing, and deployment. So already the partnership got it from a 4 to a 3. We're hoping that we can get that to a 2. Community events. Over the past year, Clackamas Fire has been involved in a broad range of activities, from school visits to teaching CPR, hands-only CPR, Gladstone Community Festival, the 4th of July, which I absolutely look forward to and love, with Police Chief Schmerber, which we had another success this year, I'd say. But that's always something that we look forward to. There's over 60 community events that we attended in Gladstone this year, and an estimated, and this is a low number, but I don't want to overshoot it, but around 2,000 community members that we had community engagement with as far as public education. And so that's been really an amazing year. There's something that's really interesting, in a trend that we are seeing right now. And we're seeing it across the 303 square miles that Clackamas Fire protects. And it's concerning to me because it involves kids. And these e-bikes that are out there are so much fun. But the problem is we are seeing a drastic increase in accidents involving these kids on these e-bikes. And there's nothing more for me as a fire chief, having kids between 14, I have 14, 16, 18, and 20. It's something that concerns me. And we're also seeing fires that are created from the batteries on e-bikes. So I just say that to say that's one of the things that we are monitoring. We're watching across the fire district, but it is a drastic increase as far as accidents with e-bikes. And so with that, I'm sorry, this has been a little bit more of a lengthy report. I'm just super stoked and excited that now I get to say I'm permanently your fire chief, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate all the topics you talked that you brought before us today. And even though now we're part of the district, we understand that we share you with the rest of the district, and we share you with really the rest of the state and the region, because as you point out, it's a dangerous time. And that cooperation and support, mutual support, is something we've always depended upon when we weren't part of Clackamas Fire. And now to be, kind of engaged in that as well is really good for us to know. And I'm glad you've got your eye on some topics of interest to us. We're going to be talking a little bit about e-bikes later in our meeting tonight. So from a regulatory standpoint, from a safety standpoint, those are things that really concern our community too. We've already had some engagement on that, and we'll do more. Are there questions or comments from members of the council?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Just a question. So you were saying fires from the batteries, is that they just spontaneously combust, or are we talking use and they get hot?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. I think what we're seeing, I think the number one cause that we're seeing with these e-bikes and with these batteries are aftermarket batteries to replace. They're cheaper, but they're not UL tested. And so as you're charging these batteries, the load protection on them fails, and then they overheat and they catch on fire. That's probably the leading cause that we're seeing locally, as well as across the United States. And I think I've mentioned this before. We're tied in with the Western Fire Chiefs. I'm tied in with the Western Fire Chiefs. I'm in a subgroup of major metropolitan agencies, and we track data from them. They track data from us. And I'm seeing a consistent theme across the United States, but that's the number one across the United States. And it always comes down to misuse. But then even the UL tested batteries we're seeing are failing. And so it's an issue with the lithium ion batteries. The scientists and the manufacturers are trying to figure out how to make these safer. We're just not there yet, but those are what we're seeing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Chief, thank you very much for coming tonight, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
All right, Administrator Betts, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight? It's printed in our packet.
I do have one correction I want to call your attention to, and it's for agenda item number 11, when we'll be discussing the revised master fee schedule. On your dais, you have one page. We had a 3-cent error on an increase for the water rate unit. And so I want to introduce that into the record, and we'll make sure to post this on the website as well.
Okay, so this takes the place of the page that's in our packet for this particular set of numbers.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, we'll look first at our consent agenda. We have 6 items. Yes. Approval of the June 9th regular minutes, approval of the May 2026 bank balances, the budget report for the period ending May 31st, 2026, approval of March and May check register, legal costs for the month of April 2026, and department head monthly reports for June 2026. Would any member of the council like to pull one of these items for individual discussion?
I'd like to pull item 6, please.
Item 6, okay. All right, is there a motion to approve items 1 through 5 of the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll
Seconded.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Huckabee and seconded by both Councilor Garlington and Councilor Mitchell. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte.
Yes.
Counselor Blaug,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Items 1 through 5 of the consent agenda are approved. Councilor Labonte, you wanted to pull item number 6. Did you have a question or concern about that?
Yes, please. And it's something that I've, mentioned in previous years here. And I'm just going to just lay the groundwork a little bit with our attempts in the city to really increase tourism and making Gladstone a nice, friendly place to come and visit. And I'm a traffic safety guy. I'm a stickler for driving laws, regardless of the fact that I parked a little far from the curb the other day and almost got a ticket. I'm fine with that. And that's kind of to the point. I notice here that our parking citations in this past year have doubled, which is incredible to me. I see folks coming to visit our city, and harassment's not the correct word. I agree with dishing out parking tickets when people are parked, blocking driveways, blocking crosswalks, when they're too far from the curb, when they're in handicap spots when they should not be. What the heck? Why are we doubled in our parking? My understanding is that we're giving out a lot of tickets for expired registrations or stickers on there, which I get that, but I feel like we're really working against our goal in our city to make it a friendlier place to be. I believe in giving tickets when people are parked illegally, but I really think we're pushing it, especially with an increase in this year. I'm just interested in some insight in that and really some justification for why that's acceptable.
I'll try and answer your
Thank you.
question. Some of these calls are actually called in by citizens so that we respond to. And if there's a violation, we're going to deal with the violation. Some of these we see whether around the city. Some of them are parking violations that may occur over at Meldrum or other places where there's no paid ticket. I can only give you an overall general subject matter of that, but I don't control. It's kind of like our citations per month. They will vary. Why it increased, I can't give you the exact scientific answer for it. But there were violations, and I'm not aware of any contested. Lieutenant, are you? No. We can look at that, and I do agree with you. I do agree with you that frivolous citation giving is not what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But some of it is for strict enforcement. Some of it is for control of an environment. Some of it may be up at High Rocks when we have a lot of youth coming in from out of town and we're trying to control a situation. Some of it is just what I said. So I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. I don't have the data exactly on where majority of those citations were given, but I can try and find out for you.
That's a doubling. That's wildly significant. I'm sure that's up from the year before and vastly higher than, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago. And I think mostly I'd be interested in the tickets given that aren't actually breaking parking laws, and more to, let's say, an expired sticker is one thing. And I know that we can give tickets for that. And I guess it's a personal view where I feel like we're working against our goals for tourism if people are coming here and getting tickets for things that, I don't know, it seems like a personal choice. I think that our officer who gives out a lot of these tickets does a great job, and it's no going after anybody personally, but that's a doubling of tickets. That's pretty significant. And it's not just me saying this, it's what I'm hearing from folks who don't really want to come back to Gladstone because of getting tickets here. And I don't know, I just think that we're working against our goals in tourism. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. So thank you for your response. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you for that input. Is there a motion to accept the monthly reports from our staff?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Councillor Blaug and seconded by Councillor Garlington to accept the department head monthly reports for June 2026. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Blaug,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the reports are accepted. Next, we move to Gladstone City event announcements. Do we have anyone who's requested to speak tonight?
We have one, Nicole Quackenbush. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, thank you for having me. All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Nicole Quackenbush, and tonight I'm wearing my volunteer hat with the Save Gladstone Schools Political Action Committee, advocating to pass a school bond in November. I just want to take a moment to share a few upcoming community events and invite anyone who's interested to join us. First, our monthly PAC meeting for July is this Thursday, July 16th from 5:30 to 7 at Gladstone's Pizza. We'll be providing campaign updates and talking about ways community members can get involved. A huge thank you to Sean and the team at Gladstone's Pizza for generously hosting us. We're also excited to participate in the Gladstone Community Festival. So thank you so much to Michelle Prusso and the city for organizing this event and including us. We'll have a booth where people can stop by and ask questions. Just ask questions, get information. And we'll also be participating in the parade. So really looking forward to celebrating alongside the rest of our community. Then on Thursday, August 20th, we'll hold our next PAC meeting on the patio of Coasters. And again, just thank you to Brian for hosting us there. One thing I found throughout this campaign is that the best conversations happen when neighbors can sit down face to face, ask questions, listen to one another, and engage respectfully. Whether someone supports the bond, has questions about it, or even disagrees with it, those conversations make our community stronger. The city and the school district, as all of you know, almost nearly serve all the same families, the same neighborhoods, and the same taxpayers. And while we won't always agree on every issue, I hope we continue looking for opportunities to work together, communicate openly, and strengthen the partnerships that that make Gladstone such a special community. So thank you, and I hope to see many of you at our upcoming events. So thank you.
Thank you for that announcement and that opportunity for engagement. Okay, next on our agenda, I won't read through the entire agenda. It's pretty long tonight and it's in your printed packets, but we will start with item number 8, the update on the Gladstone Community Festival. I see that Michelle Prusso, our community center manager, is here tonight.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me, council and mayor. And on a personal note, thank you for entrusting me to do this. It's been a lot of fun. This last year, it's been an experience and a learning experience, and I've just had a lot of fun doing it. So thank you. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on kind of what we've been doing for the last year. The Gladstone Community Festival will be taking place July 31st, which is Friday through Sunday, August 2nd. We're kind of wrapping this into a whole weekend long event. So On Friday, we've partnered up with all the different organizations that have always been part of the community festival, but just kind of in separate ways. And we pulled everyone together to make it more cohesive. Like, this is a weekend-long event that we're doing here in Gladstone, and it's well organized now, or not now, but you know what I'm saying, just all together. So Friday, we have the pickleball tournament and then the movie in the park hosted by the Oak Lodge Gladstone Rotary. On Saturday, we're going to have the Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast at the Community Center. We'll have the pickleball tournament going on Saturday as well, followed by the parade. We'll have the vendor market at Max Patterson Park. In the vendor market, new this year will be a kids village. We've partnered up with the school district to be able to use their fields, and we're really excited to bring a whole new experience to the community festival than we've had in the last few years of a full family kids area. So that's a little new. We're also in the kids village going to have things like dog show and rainboat regatta. We'll have a community projects that'll be over there, bounce houses, lots of stuff. It's lots of stuff for families to do. Then that night we'll have the all class reunion, and it'll have a live band there. And then Sunday, again, the pickleball tournament and the Happy Days car show hosted by the Fords of the 50s. Yeah, that's it. Just thank you. And I just want to give you guys a quick update on everything that was going on. Questions?
Councilor Garlington?
I was wondering, how goes the volunteering?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're still looking for is volunteers. We do have on the city's website a drop down where you can go on to volunteer for the different tasks. I know a lot of you guys said that you wanted to be judges. So just to let you know, we're full on the dog show, but we still have a spot open for the pie eating or the pie contest and a parade judge. So if any of you want to fill in those spots, please let me know. We would love to have someone from council on each of those.
So you get to eat all of the pies?
You get to taste
Taste.
each of the pies. That's a good one.
That would be, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
you are looking for more volunteers?
we are.
I will hit up our fog nap group.
Huh?
I will hit up the Friends of Gladstone Nature Park.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. It's good to see as this is coming together, more and more publicity out in the community and people becoming aware of all the things. And I'm especially excited about the new area for kids. And I'm hoping that we'll have moderately cool weather so everybody will be comfortable and be able to spend a lot of time enjoying all the things that the festival has to offer.
We're lucky we have all those trees at Max Patterson, I feel like. And we did get 2 large tents to cover not only the kids' village, but down below where the beer garden is going to be this year.
All the events we've had there lately, the Juneteenth event, the 4th of July event, I just noticed too that the shade of the trees and the breeze that blows through at the concert nights as well, that is really a pretty comfortable park. And so don't let 90-degree temperatures dissuade you from coming there because it can be pretty comfortable.
Agreed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Next item on the agenda is the second reading of Ordinance 1545, Residential Development Code Updates per state requirements and amendments of the Gladstone Municipal Codes, Chapter 17.78, Home Occupations to exempt adult foster care homes. So I will let staff introduce this. I believe we have our planner, Heather Austin, on the line with us.
Good evening. I am here. Hi. I don't have too much to present as everybody was here for the prior reading of the ordinance. Because this ordinance did not pass unanimously, we are required to host a second reading and take a vote of the council on it. So we have prepared that in your packet this evening for you to be able to take your second reading vote. And so we can move this on and hopefully within 30 days, this becomes effective. So then the middle school will be able to move forward with their plans to install an electronic reader board sign, and we'll be able to get our code up to date with state law.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, most of you, I think, are familiar with this because we did discuss it at our last meeting. Are there any questions or comments from counselors?
I have a comment if I may.
Yes.
I just want to say, I didn't say it last time, but I did vote no on this and I stand by that no vote. I understand that the state will get their way regardless of how we vote today, but I do think it's important that we take a stand and let the state legislators know that Gladstone is a unique city and it has its own voice, and we should be able to speak in this matter and make our own decisions. So I just wanted to say that out loud.
All right. Thank you. And I think, as we've understood, we need to comply by these codes, whether we adopt them or not. But it's certainly clearer to developers and homeowners and property owners that these items be spelled out in our codes so that they know exactly what the law is. All right. I think we're ready. Tammy, will you go ahead and call the roll, please?
Are we going to do a motion to approve?
Oh, yeah, we've read it.
If I may just say,
Oh, go ahead.
I too voted no, and through my experience as a planning commissioner and seeing some of the local control being stripped away from our community, I too will continue a no vote. And I think it is important for the state, and we're not alone in this. You can talk to councilors across the state, mayors who agree that we're losing local control of our communities, and I think that's important. And I think that we should raise a voice. And it is true, no matter what happens, the state will get its way with this, but this is not popular, and we're not, too far in the minority in thinking that way. So, thank you.
All right, and Councilor Garlington, I see your light on as well.
Well, I'm standing by my no vote as well. I feel like the state of Oregon has once again pushed items on small cities that some of them can't afford, some of them cannot abide by them. It's just not possible in their communities. And I think it's important that we stand together and let the state know that we do have control in our small cities and we can handle that control.
Very good. Thank you for that input. The input from other members of the council tonight? All right. Is someone like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 1545?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1545, updating the Gladstone Municipal Code in accordance with state law and best practices.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Huckabee and seconded by Councilor Blaug. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Labonte,
No.
Counselor Blaug,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
No.
Counselor Farley,
No.
Mayor Milch.
Yes. The motion is passed. The ordinance is adopted. I think with the input we've had from the council, it's clear that this is an area where we want to perhaps, as a city, go above and beyond the requirements of the state. And even though certain levels of community engagement aren't required to be done, we have, it's been our pattern in the city to make the community aware of projects that are going in, for example, I'm glad that we see the importance of that, and I hope that our planning department will work with us in making sure that our monthly planning reports and website information reflect anything that would be of interest to our community, so that we have a strong level of community engagement as appropriate across all of our future planning efforts. So thank you, Heather, for coming tonight. I'm trying to see if you are on any of the other items coming up for us.
That's
Heather
it for me
is-
this evening. Thank
She's
you.
on vacation right now.
Okay. Thank you for being here tonight.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
All right, our next item is item number 10, non-represented salary schedule pay range adjustments for police sergeants. And I see our human resources officer is here tonight. So let's get a presentation on this as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. This is Erica Dable. She is our Human Resources Manager. I know you have all met her informally, but she is here tonight as we talk through what's being presented to you. I want to just give you a little bit of overview why this is even coming before you. When the city adopts its biennium budget, it also adopts the employees' compensation. So in the back of the budget, you have the the salary ranges, not for like individual employees, but for the job descriptions. And that is for those represented in AFSCME, the Gladstone Police Association, and then non-represented. So essentially, the Budget Committee and the Council is adopting those compensation packages with the budget. We're proposing an adjustment to the sergeant's salary range tonight. So technically that needs to come back to the city council. Even though there's no fiscal impact to the budget, we still want to make sure you understand that we are changing the salary range of the sergeant's position. This came about, we have 3 sergeants, 2 of them are here this evening with us. Our sergeants are not represented. We're glad they're not represented. I don't know if you're aware, but sergeants are beginning to unionize across the state of Oregon. When they're not represented, they still feel like they are valued, compensated according to market. And so when they brought this to our attention, they had concerns regarding the salary compression and asked if the city would look into it. There's an overlap between the top step for a police officer and the police sergeant's starting salary range. So basically, where's the incentive to become a sergeant if you can make more as a top level police officer? So Erica worked with a consulting group. We did a preliminary internal review. We did find that there is a salary compression, and it's about 4.04% below the market average. Additionally, the analysis determined that the current salary ranges begin to overlap at step 6, grade 22 for the police officer, and that there's a more significant than other jurisdictions which have no overlap over the 5% or less overlap between the classifications. The other issue that we've noticed is that the sergeants have been getting different cost of living adjustments versus what the Gladstone Police Association has been getting. So in addition to us asking for you to adjust the salary range tonight, as we go into our next biennium budget and our collective bargaining agreements, we want to make sure that we are affording the sergeants an opportunity to receive those same COLAs, cost of living increases, and the incentive pay. I'll give you an example. For instance, in the collective bargaining agreement, if you are bilingual, a police officer gets 5%. The sergeant who is bilingual only gets 3%. That's a disparity. So that's what's called a Me Too clause, to where we will give the sergeants the same as what the collective bargaining is getting. In your packet, we showed you a copy of the proposed salary structure from step 7 of the Gladstone police officer, and now what a step 1 of the sergeant would be making. So again, there's no budget impacts tonight. We can do all of these adjustments internally. We've been meeting with the sergeants and having conversations. We have wonderful sergeants in this organization. The city really wants to incentivize them to stay here. We've invested a lot of time and money in them. They work an inordinate amount of overtime and hours to the organization, and we support this structure change. If you have any additional questions, Erica can talk to you about the process, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward that we're asking you to approve the revised police sergeant salary schedule.
Let me ask one question just to clarify. You said it would have no budget impact, but we are talking about potential increases of salaries and for individuals. So does that mean no one will be affected immediately by this? Or does it mean that those who would get raises, it is still within the amount that we have budgeted for that department?
That is correct. So when I say there'll be no budget impact, it means we're not coming to council and asking to pull money from contingency to make these increases happen. Their positions will be adjusted accordingly, but that will all be absorbed within the existing police department budget. And the reason why we're able to do that is we've had vacancies, and sometimes those positions don't get filled for a period of time. So there's a little bit of cost savings there. And we did want to analyze that before we brought it to you to assure that the adjustments that we make tonight can be absorbed within the existing budget.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Do any counselors have a question on this item? Any discussion I'll entertain a motion and then we can discuss it to see if there's any further discussion.
I have maybe more of a comment, but.
Oh, okay, go
if I
ahead.
may. When I got sworn in, I called Gladstone the Shire, because that's what it is to me. I think this is a beautiful city and I think it's really safe. And so to hear that our police officers are not being paid appropriately, yet we have the most shining jewel city and all of the greater Portland metro area, I feel like this is a no-brainer.
Thank you. All right. Councilor Huckabee?
I was going to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the salary schedule pay range and adjustment for Gladstone Police Sergeants.
I'll
Seconded.
second. Oh, yeah, you can say.
All right, it's moved by Councilor Huckabee, seconded by Councilors Labonte and Mitchell. And we had some good comment from Councilor Farley. Anyone else have comments, plus pro or con? Councilor, you're ready to go. Okay, I think we are ready to vote. All right. Tammy, will you call the roll?
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, by a 7-0 vote, the city council approves the proposed salary structure update. All right, next item. This one does have to do with the budget. Resolution 1259, a resolution item number 11, Resolution 1258, a resolution adopting a revised master fee schedule and repeal Resolution 1251, utility rate changes, system development charges, SDCs, including a reduction for accessory dwelling units, ADUs, and portable restroom fees for events. So, Administrator Betts.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As you know, we come to you twice a year to update our master fee schedule. Typically, it's in July and December or January. A master fee schedule is what allows us to charge fees for services. And so in the staff report, I'd like to just go over the different areas of where we're proposing the changes. The first one is the utility rates. And those are for North Clackamas County Water Commission, West, and Oak Lodge Water Services. As you know, these are our regional providers. They actually set the rates and we collect it for them and it's a pass-through to them. So if the city was not to adopt these increases, they're still charging them to the city, and then the city would have to absorb that subsidy coming up either for the money from our projects that we're working on or contingency or otherwise. So the first increase is a 7.47% for North Clackamas Water Commission. It actually goes from 0.9000 to 0.9672 cost per 100 cubic feet of water. And on the master fee schedule, the page that we gave you, that is where we had a 3-cent error on the 11 units and up. So it now shows you that it's going from $4.31 to $4.38 per unit. Oak Lodge Water Services charge pass-through is 5.32% to support their master capital improvement plans. We have about 655 accounts in Gladstone where they get sewer service through Oak Lodge Water. The rest go to West. So Oak Lodge Water Services is going to be about it's going to be 5.32% increase. The West is going to be a 4.96% increase. And we do have the dollars spelled out in the resolution. Also included in your packet is our updated low income levels. So we do have a low income assistance program that the city updates when the urban development income limits come out annually. So we've included that in your packet to discuss. So before I go any further, I want to make sure you see on the master fee schedule what those changes are for Water Environmental Services, Oak Lodge Water, and North Clackamas County. It's $1.60 increase for Wes. It's a $4.65 increase for Oak Lodge. And then it's a 7.47% increase, which actually comes out to about 0.0672 or 7 cents for the increase.
So to clarify on that last one, the increase in the wholesale cost of water went up by 7.5%, but we're not increasing the dollar rate per unit of our citizens by 7%. We're only increasing it by actually 7 cents
Correct.
per unit. So 7 cents on a $3 or a $2 rate is really like 3.5%, and a 7 cents on a $4 rate is like 1.33%. So it's much smaller numbers than it looks like.
That's correct.
So these are like flat rate additions rather than percentage applied to the rate.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate that we're not talking about the city's utility rates. These are the ones charged by our regional providers that are already set. We collect, we pass it through to them.
Okay.
In regards to the low income assistance program, there's a couple of things we're looking at. And one may be right now, it goes by 50% of the median income that qualifies 1 to 8 family members. Some things that we want to look at internally is whether or not we want to increase that to perhaps 60%, which would increase the eligibility for other families that may be having hardships right now and could benefit from utilizing this program. The other thing that we want to look at with this program is whether or not there are one-time emergency type events that happen in somebody's life, whether it's a sudden loss of a job, a hospitalization, or something like that, where we could implement a 3-month type payment, repayment, or lower assistance program. So you don't always hear about the details of the low income assistance program. It is administered through our finance department, and that we are creatively thinking of ways that we can assist those people that may need the help for that. So that's all I have on the utility rate increases. I can move on to the system development charges. There's a couple things here. One is we do our annual indexing each year, and we're based that on the Seattle Index publishes, which is our regional construction cost. Seattle is the closest region to our market. This year's increase is 5%, but we're only saying 4%. That's sufficient for us to use that. So in the master fee schedule, you will see the 4% increase. And then the other system development charge is in regards to the accessory dwelling unit discussion that we had a work session on, and we all agreed that we should have a lesser fee for those that are trying to build affordable housing or accessory dwelling units. And so you will find in the master fee schedule that those have been reduced by 50%. Then the only other change has to do with OSHA standards and porta potties. And I was not aware of this, but we have a lot of tournaments out at Meldrum Bar Park. And a lot of times our porta potties are not sufficient to host the capacity of the crowd that we have. And so we have met with all of the tournament folks that typically are out at Meldrum Bar Park. We've talked to them about the proposed fee. They have no issues with it. We actually prefer that the city is the one that would order these porta potties for the events, and that the organizers pay the city directly because the city actually gets a discounted rate for that. So we've done the outreach to the organizers of those events. And so what you'll see in the master fee schedule is the proposed fees for the portable restrooms. And that is what I have for you in the staff report.
All right, that's a lot. Utility rate increases, a means of mitigating those for low-income people, ADU, SDC changes or SDC changes and a reduction for ADUs, and the porta potties for parks and recreation. I'm open to discussion on all of this, but let's maybe kind of focus on it one thing at a time to keep us from going back and forth. So are there comments or questions from city councilors on any of the items before us?
I've got one on utility rates.
Councilor Labonte.
I know and thank you, Mayor, for clarifying, and Administrator Betts, how minor that percentage increase is per unit. But my question is, does anybody recall a time when that percent went down? We've just been climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. I personally made a commitment not to vote for increases. It isn't necessarily popular. I know it can be difficult for administration. I'm going to stand by that commitment. At some point, we need to slow down the ship with raising fees on our citizens.
If I could add to that comment, Councilor Labonte, I think where the city actually has better control of that is when we start talking about our year-end utility rates, and staff is already trying to analyze whether or not we want to do those increases. We can't control these ones that we have tonight because West sets them, Oak Lodge sets them, and as I said, if you don't approve them, then it's probably close to $150,000 to $200,000 where we've got to subsidize those. But where we do have control is whether or not the city decides to do any of our utility rates at the end of this year. And just some preliminary suggestions may be that maybe we only do a 1% or 1.5 or not at all. As you know, we're also getting our new financial forecasting software implemented before the next budget process that will align with our capital improvement projects. So it better shows us with the money that we have in capital and maintenance, if that is enough for the projects that we're currently doing. We have one right now, which is the Sherwood Waterline project, with a couple $1 million. But to your point, I think that where you have control is when we talk about the city's utility rates in later this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it's a hypothetical, and I'm not sure that the members of our council would vote against, would necessarily vote against an increase. So I will stand by my no vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Other comments, questions? Councilor Garlington.
Okay, I'm only going to ask you one question, Councilor Labonte,
Sure.
because we are lowering the SDCs on the ADUs.
Mhm.
And so your vote to help do that would increase
What
in Gladstone a little bit and allow people to be able to do anything. And that is a decrease.
I appreciate that. I don't, and it's like we're throwing a bowling ball at a dartboard. It'd be nice if we could really break it down and maybe have 2 votes or something like that, or work the fees out in a little bit of a different way.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes, I 100% agree. I want to bring those rates down for ADUs. That is great. And I'm bummed out that we have to vote in one package for this thing. Yeah.
Right. So I have a couple of questions. Do you have an example of a block rate 3, 11 units and up?
I do not.
What do you mean an example?
A household that would use 11 units of water?
Oh, during the summertime, many of our homes go above the winter use. 6 units.
Winter use, but 11 go
No,
up to 11 units?
Or above 11 units, yes. Because The average use in the wintertime, historically in Gladstone has been about 6 units per household. We used to have the Bates all our rates based on that for everyone. And the people that used only 2 or 3 were saying, why am I paying for 6 when I'm, so.
That was us.
And then we decided it was more of an incentive for people to have it based on actual use. And so we changed it from having a flat 6 units per household to actual usage. So some people, if they're away, they don't get charged for any water usage at all. Now, they still get charged for the water infrastructure and sewer and stormwater.
Right.
But during the winter, if you have a swimming pool, if you have a garden that you water a lot, there are numerous households who go well above that 11 units.
I think where I might have a question is, unfortunately, on the low income rate reduction, for a household that uses that much water to turn around and give a reduction on that much water usage isn't being a very good steward of water usage in our city. That's my opinion completely. That's just all I have to say about that. So my next thing is the restroom porta potties. Is the porta potty, I'm sorry, how come I'm saying it like that? The portable restroom, when that's needed, is the city requiring that based on the amount of people that are coming to the event that particular group is having?
Yes, that is correct. And we've had some incidents out there when they've been full and we've had to call out there. So it is based on how long the tournament is, how many teams, how many people they're projecting to have out there.
Okay, so you make the call based on how many people they tell you might be coming to an event.
Yeah, it's now part of their application when they apply to reserve a field or fill that out. We're calculating in how many people and adding the porta potties for that.
Okay, and then when I see, I know that through our park, we have different events that require us to have permit fees and things like that. But I don't see, 2 weekends ago, the RC car people had an event out there, and I don't see their name on here as a non-Gladstone user group, and they clearly have a space down at Meldrum Bar Park. So I think that it's high time we maybe ask them to start having user fees event fees for some of their bigger events that they do down there. And then I just wanted to say that I'm all in on the ADUs. And the other thing that I hope is that maybe for people that have them in their backyard, that they are not quite licensed all the way with them, that this would give people incentive to actually get that paperwork filled out and get these legal within the city of Gladstone. So let's hope that happens.
All right, Councilor Mitchell.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't seem to find where I had read it in the packet, but wasn't there 2 different fees for the portable toilet pickup the day of and then the next day?
There's a standard unit and an ADA unit and then a service call.
Okay.
It includes a delivery and pickup 1 to 8 units and then a flat rate for up to 10 days.
And if the city is the one ordering the units, who is assuming responsibility for damage or whatnot?
The city is.
Okay.
And if we found ourselves in an emergency situation where they were full, we have an on-call public works that would get notified, and that's how we would take care of it.
All right, I'll just add one more comment about the accessory dwelling units. When we talked about this, I think in our work session, our planner, Heather, reminded us that coming into compliance with code is often a safety issue. So it is very important, I think, that we incentivize people who are going to do any development of their homes to do it in a way that's safe. It's fire safe, it's electrical safe, it's up to all the building codes. And so that last little step of moving from being not really an ADU to being one that qualifies is very important. So I support what you said on that one, that we ought to incentivize that because we have this housing need. We have a community where I think of your neighborhood, neighborhoods where 20 years ago, there were a lot of kids living there and it was families raising children. And now we have empty nester neighborhoods in much of our city. And people whose children are grown and gone live in homes where they don't want to move because not only do we not provide, the rungs of that lower part of the ladder for new families to buy homes, we're missing some of the rungs of the ladder for people to move down too. If your home is paid off, or if you're only paying a 3% mortgage rate, it can be very difficult to want to move to a smaller home or even to find one. So this is an incentive providing housing really at both ends of the spectrum, both for older retired people and for people who are just wanting to get in and move in and start a family. So I think that's a good part of this. We had the same issue last month with the codes that we just had to re-vote on. When we put everything together in one thing, it's efficient for us, but it does create a little bit of difficulty in voting on something where you're for part of it and against part of it. But I appreciate Councilor Labonte sharing his concerns and his commitment to not wanting to impose difficult rate increases on people. And so I'm glad that we have that discussion, that everybody's on record with it, and we kind of understand why we do things the way we do. And I appreciate too, Councilor Betts, your suggestion that when we get to December, looking at rates or January, whenever it is, we can take another look at what we've been doing in recent years and see. I was on the council 8 years ago when we made the decision to add some of these fees to our water bills that weren't there before. We did not have a stormwater fee at all. We had a relatively modest sewer fee, and we had to make some increases, some pretty substantial increases. And I see other cities around the area getting to that same point in their life cycle as far as utility rates and having to impose some huge increases now to get to where they need to be. But I hope that they will find what we found, that after a while, you can get to the places where the increases are much more modest and that also you can develop a way to help the people who need it the most in doing that. In response to your other comment, I don't think it's very likely that the people who would need the assistance in utility payments are the same people that are using large amounts of water, unless, for example, they're growing all their own food at home in a garden. But it was a good point, and we ought to look at usage as well as income. All right. Would someone like to make a motion?
I have to completely disagree with you.
Oh, you do? Okay.
We have a low-income family in Gladstone that needs assistance. So we're now going to police their water usage, basically penalizing them for asking for assistance. So, higher income people can water their garden and play in the pool, but not the low-income families. That's basically what's that saying.
I see. I
No.
get your point. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I hear you.
And also, how many people are living in that house if they're low income?
Well, that would be the other thing. Yeah. If it is an 8-member household and we have income standards for up to 8 people, then yeah, they're going to be taking a lot of showers and all the rest. So you're right. Thank you for educating me on that one. I appreciate that observation. All right. Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 1258, a resolution repealing the master fee schedule adopted under Resolution 1251 and adopting a new master fee schedule.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's moved by Counselor Garlington and seconded by Counselor Mitchell. Tammy, was there anyone from the audience who requested to speak on this agenda item?
We did not receive any requests.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that we didn't leave anybody out who would hope to speak. So any further discussion? Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
No.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the motion passes 6-1. The resolution and fee adjustments are adopted. And people will begin to see this on the bill that they receive next month or the month after.
Sorry, next month.
The month that the next bill that they receive. All right, we move to item 12. Resolution 1259, an adjustment to the budget for biennium years 25-27. In the state of Oregon, we're required to have a balanced budget, and it doesn't mean the same thing for a city as it means for a household. In most households, a balanced budget means you don't spend more than you take in. And it does mean that, but it also means that you don't have a budget that doesn't show all the income you're going to receive. So sometimes, for some very good reasons, we need to make adjustments in our budget, and tonight is one of those nights. So I'll let Administrator Betts introduce that.
Yeah, this one is actually, I hope, a little bit easier to get through because we are bringing in money now to the city. And in order to do that, we need to do what's called a budget adjustment. So back in June 24 of 2025, the Budget Committee and the City Council adopted a biennium budget in the amount of $75,027,420. Under ORS 294.3382, the city can increase its budget to recognize revenues received from specific purpose grants. So the three areas where I want to highlight with grants, even though we may not be implementing these projects yet, we know that they're coming. And when you do a budget adjustment, you try to do it all together because of noticing requirements. So the first one is we will be receiving a $25,000 grant from Department of Land Conservation and Development. This is for our community green infrastructure program to add more tree in the public right of way and to do some shade. So we know this year we will be receiving those funds. The other one is $230,749. Later in your agenda, you'll be approving an intergovernmental agreement where the city of Johnson City is graciously transferring over their metro funds to Gladstone so that we're able to use those in our city parks. And then the final one is a $1.5 million U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is known as HUD grant, that we received from Congresswoman Bynum's office. This is to go towards the Gladstone Early Childhood Center. Clackamas Children Commission is the owner of that project. We're going through the process, and eventually later this fall we'll approve a contract where we will receive those funds that we can transfer over to Clackamas County Children's Commission. So those are the three grants that we know are coming. Maybe there'll be more. We're not sure. We'll come back to you. But the other item I wanted to call attention to is that we have an annual payment that goes to Clackamas County for the Gladstone Library. This is part of our settlement agreement that went into effect in 2019. We budgeted appropriately 3%. We included on that. The county had a formula error in their second year that actually it came back at 3.28% of an increase, not the estimated 3%. So we have a shortfall in our budget of $11,000. So we're asking to move that from contingency to that library line item so that we can pay that bill. We won't get until December. But again, since we're doing this all as a package, we wanted to go ahead and do that beforehand. So our budget will increase by $1,755,749. And with the approval of this resolution, your new revised budget will be $76,783,169.
All right. Yeah, are there any questions from members of the council about these items? Go ahead, Councilor Blount.
And again, this is just budget stuff. This does not affect any of our local citizens, correct?
Well, eventually it will with the
Right.
projects that we're completing, but these are not rates or anything to affect them. That's correct.
And Administrator Betts, the $1.5 million HUD grant. So when we were approached about this at first, we weren't sure whether it'd be coming to the city or going directly to Clackamas Children's Commission. But the procedure is it needs to go to a government entity, a city
That's
first,
correct.
and then we pass it along. And it is sort of we're just sort of the intermediary. But it's for a designated project of a specific nonprofit organization.
That is correct. And as I mentioned, when we get the draft agreement from the federal government, our city attorney will review that. We will bring that to you. I'm hoping that will be in October, November, so that we can start drawing down those funds to reimburse the commission for the work that's being done.
All right. Some of you have seen the building on Webster Road that was a former YMCA Child Care Center, and now it's going to be the Meadowlark Early Children Learning Center, which will have classes for early Head Start, which is very young children, and regular Head Start, which is preschool age children. And they're expanding the number and improving the facility to do that. So this had been an important identified need in our community. And we are glad to have had the opportunity to sort of be the go-between to make sure that this federal money came to this local organization. Any questions, Councilor Lamont?
Just throwing it out there. It sure would be cool if we could have that type of thing go towards our, also on Webster is our school district, and they need some money for PERS. So if there's any opportunity for the city to help out with that, that'd be swell.
I'm sorry, they need money for what?
To cover PERS, a $1.2 million fall. It could be devastating to the school.
I think
throwing it out there for fun.
I think the government department that this comes for is to support things like Head Start programs. And the Gladstone Center for Children and Families has some Head Start programs now and has some room in their facility for possible expansion. So my wish would be that if we had if there were surplus funds available, that it could help make that possible, because it would fulfill the same purpose of expanding childcare opportunities in our community and early learning opportunities for young children. But for now, this is just putting it in the budget. So is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I move that we adopt resolution 1259, an adjustment to the budget for the biennium years of 2025 to 2027.
I shall second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Blaug and seconded by Councilor Labonte. Any further discussion from members of the council?
I
Go
only
ahead.
ask, do we need the dollar amounts on the back in reading that? On page 12.2.
They are in the resolution. It's my understanding that the numbers as presented in the resolution are what we are voting.
Okay, I just want to make sure because we talked about it being kind of an important thing all at one
Yeah.
time. Okay.
Okay, Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Council, excuse me, Councilor Huckabee,
Yes.
Councilor Garlington,
Yes.
Councilor Farley,
Yes.
Councilor Labonte,
Yes.
Councilor Blaug,
Yes.
Councilor Mitchell,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, resolution number 1259 is adopted unanimously. Thank you, council. We'll move on to item number 13. And this is to consider appointing members to the temporary ad hoc Economic Development Advisory Committee, EDAC, to provide advice to the city council of the city of Gladstone. So I believe John Lagarza from HSC is here tonight to present this. And John, welcome. Can you hear us?
Yes, good evening,
Okay,
Mayor.
we can hear you, so go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Happy to be here this evening to, what's in front of you here is an agenda to consider establishing again a temporary ad hoc economic development commission. They would meet probably starting out about 4 times a year. Last year, at the end of the year, the council approved going forward and vetting out from the community. Tonight, there's 7 individuals that we're recommending to you to consider there to have on the panel. I'd like to keep a couple open. So as we start that, looking to be able to look for some additional input around tourism, we'll be working with you on the tourism, the strategic economic development plan with this group. I think this group casts a nice net out there. So one of the things I think that's important for the council to consider is a lot of times we kind of just stay kind of focused in within a city. And I think it's important to think about, just listening to some of the agenda items you've had tonight with connections with other entities and other governmental agencies and how that affects us. So, you'll see on here, there's folks from the Grand Ron, the county, even the high school with the CTE program. So these are important actors within our community as we move forward with economic development. So happy to answer any questions that you may have this evening here.
All right, the recommended names are in our packet. Do counselors have any questions about this? And you said you meet about 4 times a month, and would the goal be to be developing strategies that would come back to the council for enaction, or what do you see coming out of a group like this?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Again, I wish we could meet 4 times a month, but I don't think they'll let me
4
do it
times
that
a year.
much.
Sorry.
I think the best thing is, with an ad hoc to start 4 times a year. And what will be important, I think, is to really think about having this group provide input. You look to a board to provide you advice where you don't have expertise in these areas, right? So looking at as we develop our economic development and tourism plan, this group will be really helpful for shaping that framework and that plan to provide the first input. And again, you can have someone from the council be a participant with this group, but this will be important as we develop the draft framework for that and bring that forward to all of you here to approve, and probably even have a joint session, work session as we go forward looking at those, and then also looking at future grant programs that we'll develop and strategically getting that out into the community from that standpoint, and additional funding opportunities too.
All right, Councilor Labonte, you have a question?
Thank you, John. Good to see you. Quick question. We've got 7 names here. I'm wondering, really 2 questions. One, did we reach out to these folks to encourage them to be on this ad hoc committee? And also, did we have more than 7 applicants for the positions?
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Bronte. It's good to see you too. We publicized this in a lot of areas, and we pushed it out to a lot of the groups here looking out here to have recruitment from that standpoint. We did receive 12 applicants. I like to sometimes, it's best to have some openings when you look at the applicants that we had come in. I think it's important when we realize that Gladstone has a very strong automotive community. And as we start to be able to recruit someone off of McLaughlin, we have some national auto dealerships in there, and getting someone from that ecosystem that we have would be important to think about that. We've talked about tourism, and I think as we go forward, thinking about having someone around tourism, and then I always like to have someone that brings a good financial lens around banking, because when we're talking about programs or financing, it's always helpful to have someone that can provide input on the Economic Development Council, but also to be thinking about any type of loans that we would develop in the future from that standpoint there too.
If I may follow up with, and thank you for that answer, of the ones that through that filtering process of applicants, do we know how many of those that weren't included that are citizens of Gladstone?
We'd have to go in and look. I think we've included all the applicants in there. I think you have this Grand Ron tribe, the county. Those are probably the 2 that I would say, maybe even the disposal, but the disposal is a business. So again, I think it's important. We have connections with their business, or they're touching with us. There's a lot of benefits to, looking at the connection with Clackamas County's economic development program. They've been doing a lot of different grants. So how we connect with them, the school district, the CTE programs, as we think about the future of CTE in our high schools and how we create those career pathways. aligning, that's important that we're working with our high schools from that standpoint too.
And that's great. And I agree. I'd be curious to see the applications of those who did not make the cut. Personally, just, out of curiosity, just to.
And Counselor Labonte, the other thing that John and I discussed as this committee begins meeting is have them also review the 5 other applicants to see if they believe that we're missing something from one of those that they may suggest that we also appoint. And that's why we left a couple of vacancies on there. But if you're interested in those, I can certainly provide those to you outside of the meeting.
I got it, because I see that we have 2 folks from Gladstone. So just that kind of I find interesting is all, but I appreciate the logic behind it and the thoughtfulness. And thank you, Jackie, for mentioning that too.
Yeah, I think, and just to clarify, the names in the packet tonight and the applications in the packet are only from among the 7 that we're recommending tonight. Yeah,
exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? John, thank you very much for your help on this. I'll ask someone on the council to make a motion to include the names as it's on page 13-3. Is there a member of the council who would like to make that motion? Councillor Mitchell.
I apologize if I get any names wrong with pronunciation. I move to appoint Bryce Morrow, Dane Heron, Steve Perkins, Dustin Long, Shannon Byerly, Pamela Bloom, and Planning Commissioner Sherry Grow to the Ad Hoc Economic Development Advisory Committee, effective immediately with terms to run consistent with Resolution 1253, and direct staff to continue recruiting for the 2 remaining positions with a focus on candidates with backgrounds in tourism, banking, and marketing.
I will second.
All right. It's been moved by Councillor Mitchell and seconded by Councillor Huckabee. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to mention that I think they're in that as we look at these 2 empty seats, I'd be interested. We have a well-rounded group here. I'd like to see Gladstone a little more represented in this ad hoc group personally.
All right. I appreciate that. All right. We ready for a vote? Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Blaug,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes. The vote is unanimous. The committee is appointed. Thank you, John, for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, next item on our agenda has to do with an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gladstone and Clackamas County Behavioral Health for the Mental Health Services Coordinator embedded in the Gladstone Police Department. And Chief Schmerber is here tonight to help present that item for us.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, City Council. Tonight, I'm here to hopefully have you consider approving Amendment 01 to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gladstone and Clackamas County Behavioral Health Mental Service Coordinator embedded in the Gladstone Police Department. A little bit of history and background to this. On December 11th, 2024, the City of Gladstone entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the Clackamas County Behavioral Health Division to expand mental health resources for the Gladstone community. It only took us about 3 years to get there. So it was great when we did. Under this agreement, the city agreed to contribute $100,000 from its opioid settlement funds to help cover the cost of the mental health service coordinator. This partnership is structured as a pilot project and was scheduled to run through December 31st, 2026. Since the addition of the mental health service coordinator in partnership with Clackamas County, more than 210 Gladstone residents have received support, including ongoing behavioral health assistance and connections to appropriate community resources. The coordinator conducts weekly check-ins with high-utilizing residents to help stabilize crisis and reduce unnecessary 911 calls. The coordinator also responds to mental health-related 911 calls, allowing many situations to be resolved without requiring law enforcement response. In addition to the coordinator provides support to repeat offenders by connecting them with mental health treatment and assist individuals experiencing homelessness in securing housing and obtaining referrals to the stabilization center, which is new. And I think you all are very familiar with the stabilization center that's located in Milwaukee. But due to budget challenges affecting Clackamas County, including its behavioral health division, the county was required to reduce services, impacting the original intergovernmental agreement with the city of Gladstone. However, because the city of Gladstone and the county behavioral health recognized the value of this program, we worked together and collaborated to come up with a solution to this issue. So what we're asking is an amendment to the original IGA that best fits what we can absolutely do, and which is to maintain the embedded mental health service coordinator with the Gladstone Police Department. Services must be reduced from 40 hours a week to 20 hours a week, along with additional costs of $18,000. The city of Gladstone believes it is important to continue this embedded position even at a reduced hours and increased cost to ensure ongoing behavioral health support for the community. And I'll tell you, this has been a significant support, not just to the community, but to the organization. So as a whole, so it's a huge growth for all of us. We have two options. We can enter into this amended agreement with Clackamas County Health, or we can choose not to and terminate the position. And fund it. It sounds weird. We're getting reduced services, but spending a little bit more money. We can absorb that in our budget. We are watching our budget very closely. But I do believe this is a very, very important resource for the community. It is utilized highly. And just because we know that this position will end December 31st of 2026, we are working diligently to come up with creative ideas and ways to continue this program. We have a lot of different, well, not a lot, but we have a few different leads we're working on right now, besides grants that we're looking at, that it's really too early to share, but at some point we can share once it's a little bit more solidified. But right now, the first goal is getting this to December 31st. And then while we're doing that, we're working on long-term.
So you're seeing this as a little bit of a Band-Aid on a solution for which you hope to find a more permanent solution later.
Yes.
And we did some budget adjustments earlier. Would this require a budget adjustment, or would the additional funding come from the same source? And is there adequate funding?
There is no budget adjustment because it being expended from contractual services in the police department budget, and they just will have to monitor that line item and possibly reduce other services. I think too, I want to be clear, this is a Clackamas County financial issue.
Yes.
Not a city of Gladstone. And anybody that followed their budget process this year is aware that they increased their administrative services quite a bit, and we are suffering from that. This position has been invaluable in Gladstone. And as the chief mentioned, we're already looking beyond the end of this year, and we would like to even make it our own if it's possibility that we can do that. We did not want to terminate the agreement, which is kind of the direction we were headed. And so we're doing everything we can to try to maximize her time here on the days that she will be here. But it has certainly had a very positive impact for our Gladstone residents that need this service.
If I may ask.
Go ahead.
And that's all good. Do we have, as we look, in the future, as we look for, new officers and staff, would, as bilingual officers, great, right? That's helpful. Would we be looking for folks that kind of fit both roles in a sense? And somebody who has that mental health aspect to it within the normal department?
So what we require and what we've done is our officers are CIT trained, crisis intervention trained. So what currently Misty does is something a little bit different. She's very educated in her field. She's more of a type of counselor. She's a coordinator, and she has those resources and connections that are HIPAA protected and so on, where we're not. But we require the training our officers. So in those critical instances, when we are forced to deal with people with mental illness or mental illness and homelessness, that we have the ability to communicate and try and diffuse the situation, de-escalate.
Is there a reason why the city can't front the money to fully fund this position and then maybe some grants can pay us back later? Maybe we're out 30 grand, but in the grand scheme of things, the city's happier for it. Is that an option that we have available?
Not really at this point. I think that at the end of, as we get closer to our next biennium budget, we can look at some structural changes in the police department to see we're always going to have this opioid funding trickling in probably for the next 7 to 10 years. We can't use all of that money for this position because it technically, and the city attorney will verify, can only be used for treatment type opioid. So only part of the current employee's position can be covered by opioid funding. But we are creatively looking at ways that the city can take this position on and fund it, to your point. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Garlington?
So I've been watching for several years about this position across the state of Oregon and the successes that other cities have had with this. And I was super excited when this came on for us. And I support this position 100%. The first thing that came to my mind is how can we continue to look for partners, further partners? So I'm glad that that's something that you're open to that option and or creating a position within Gladstone as the new budget comes in. I wholly support that as well. So I think that as the months trickle on and things like that, I think one of the things that concerns me is as winter months come, and we all know that sometimes mental health issues come up as the days grow darker and things like that, that would be, I would love to think that maybe before that happens, we will have found a solution and be able to come back around and say, we're going to be able to cover this. So I'm just going to think good thoughts. And I know you are all putting your best foot forward. And I believe 100% that this is such an important part of Gladstone. So thank you.
If I just may ask, and I'm not sure if I'm missing the number here, about how many contacts are there with Missy? Let's say, am I missing it here?
200.
Was that the number
About 210.
Yeah.
Is that in the total time I'm sorry.
So 210 have received her services. So, since she's been here, on average, a monthly report, she's getting 16 to 20 for different variety of different reasons. Yeah. And then the follow-ups and the continuous follow through with these individuals, which is probably more important, and the continuing service being provided. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, to Councilor Garlington, to your question statement a bit, yes, we are looking at partners and partnerships with nonprofits and other organizations, other law enforcement organizations. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think we all up here agree that this is a really important position and we would really like to see this full-time going forward. So good luck. Let us know if there's anything we can do.
And I've also heard from you, Chief, and other members of the department, Lieutenant McNabb, about how important Misty's role is to the department. So, I want to underscore that. Now, tonight you have emphasized a lot about the difference it would make losing this from the perspective of those that are being helped by it. But we are talking about the career of an individual. What impact is this going to have on, if we're, to the extent we're allowed to talk about this, what impact is this going to have on Misty herself, who's in this position?
Well, she is a Clackamas County employee, so we don't have a lot of influence on that unless perhaps at some point the county is going to do more layoffs or terminations, and we perhaps want to take advantage of that. I think that they have been open and honest with her about this. If not, we are now. But there have been those conversations. I think the county went through and did quite a few layoff of positions. The reason why they're able to keep this one is because the other half of her salary is grant funded. So that's why we know we have until the end of this year to try to make that work. But, making that position a city position gives us the control. And that's really ideally what we would like to do, because if you look at the cost, $118,000 the city has put in for this position, that's not all going towards her salary. That's also going towards the county administering that position.
Yeah, those of us that are involved in library budgets, I think, are familiar with a little bit of how that works. And so we know. Well, that's good. This has been a great presentation, very helpful to us. You've given us, a good option here to consider. So would someone like to make a motion regarding the proposed amendment?
I'll make the motion, but first I want to say it's incredibly disappointing that the county has put our city in this predicament due to mismanagement of funds. I make a motion to approve Amendment 01 to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gladstone and Clackamas County Behavioral Health for the Mental Health Services Coordinator embedded in the Gladstone Police Department.
Seconded.
All right, it has been moved by Councillor Huckabee and seconded by, was it Councillor Mitchell? Thank you. Administrator Betts, do you know if Clackamas County has taken action on this IGA yet?
They're the ones that sent it to me, so
So you think they're on board?
they're ready to go. They're on
Okay,
board.
very good. Just sometimes I never know when it's fully adopted when there's two partners to.
I'm sure we already have a
Two-party.
bill coming.
Okay. All right. Tammy, go ahead and call the roll.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte.
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes. The motion is adopted. The IGA is amended by the city. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I appreciate your efforts to do that here, and I think you've come up with a good proposal for us. So thank you for all the work and negotiation that went into this. I appreciate it, Chief. All right, now.
Mayor, could it also be a nice lemon zest too, though?
Yes, you can make a lot of things out of lemon. So next item on the agenda, it references back to the budget adjustments we made earlier. I'll let you present this, Administrator Betts.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a gift from Johnson City. It's very rare that another city wants to transfer over money that they have received. And so just to give you a little bit of history on this, Metro passed a ballot measure 26203, which they distributed $475 million in general obligation bonds to preserve natural areas, clean water, and protect fish and wildlife. They distributed $92 million to local government parks. So each city in the metro area got a distribution. In Gladstone, ours was $830,000, which right now, we're working on the picnic shelter and the restrooms at the Gladstone Nature Park. Johnson City's share is $230,749. They expressed interest in transferring that to Gladstone because, as you know, they don't have any parks in Johnson City. And so Metro had approached me and said, would you be interested in accepting this money? And I said, absolutely. And they said, okay, let's work up an IGA. There is no strings attached. Johnson City, they use our parks. We aren't here tonight to discuss how this money will be used, but I have a feeling that the process would be through the Parks Board and then back to City Council like we did with the other funds to do that. The IGA was reviewed by our city attorney. You can see there are a couple of areas in the IGA where they are making some adjustments based on Chad's recommendation. I did get that clean copy back today. So if you approve the IGA tonight as presented, then we can go ahead and execute that. And I would also like to be able to send an email or a thank you card on behalf of the Gladstone City Council, thanking Johnson City for they're transferring these funds to Gladstone.
And if I may, an email would be great, but maybe something slightly more formal could be even better to really show our appreciation, because $200,000 is, kind of nice. So thank you, Johnson City.
We could invite them to the meeting when we discuss how we're going to allocate funding it. There's all kinds of
A
things we could
placard
do.
or something
So
nice. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, thank you. Nice job.
Is it okay?
Counselor Garlington, go ahead.
When I first read this, all I could think of is the wheel down at the Candyman and in Seaside where you spin the wheel. And I thought we could put all of our projects, spin that wheel, and see where we're going with this. But thank you very much. And you said you were doing a clean copy, and on item number 1, there's an extra word "the" before the word Gladstone. That's all. And thank you, Johnson City, for this money. We do appreciate it.
All right. I think we will have perhaps a more deliberative process on deciding how to spend the money. And I appreciated your acknowledging that. And let me just read this paragraph because I think it's well written. Staff would also like to send a thoughtful thank you to the Johnson City Council and staff on their decision to transfer Johnson City's local share allocation to Gladstone. This will directly support eligible park projects that benefit both of our communities. We sincerely appreciate their collaboration and your commitment to strengthening shared recreational resources for the residents we collectively serve. With the exception of the parking requirement at Meldrum Bar, all our parks are open to anyone in the community, and all of the North Clackamas Parks District, Park and Recreation District parks are open to us as well. This is a regional system, not really a regional system, but there are systems of parks in our region that are open and shared by everyone in the community. And this really, supports that spirit. And if we can make any one park or series of parks better for everyone, we're helping not only our own city, but people in surrounding communities as well, making it more welcome to tourists and visitors, as you mentioned earlier. So I'm all for this. I will accept a motion. Um,
15-2.
Yeah, you'll just have to fudge with the first paragraph there.
All right, I guess I can do this. I make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gladstone, Metro, and Johnson City that would transfer Johnson City's local share allocation to the City of Gladstone for eligible park projects.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Blaug and seconded by Councilor Labonte. Any further discussion? All right, Tammy, call the roll, please.
Counselor Labonte,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Blaug,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the motion is approved, so we will proceed with the IGA. Thank you, staff, for working on this. And thank you, Johnson City, once again, for your generosity. Now we move, our chief and our lieutenant are still here for one last item that the chief of police or the chief of the fire department referenced a little earlier. That's regarding e-bikes and electric micromobility devices, sort of a work session type discussion. And I want to express appreciation to the Traffic Safety Commission for hosting a community gathering and to staff for developing a survey of which we've gotten some really good printed results tonight that'll help us in making some policy on these matters. So Chief, back to you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. We'll get right into this discussion. And I really want to make this a discussion, so questions and so on. But the one thing I don't want anybody to take away from this conversation is I'm not up here asking, or the city's not up here asking to eliminate electric bikes, e-bikes. That's not what we're here for. We're here for safety. And when we talk about this is a little bit of history. Many jurisdictions around the country, including several in the Portland metropolitan area, have recognized that e-bikes and electric micromobility devices pose a significant risk when operated in excessive speeds by inexperienced riders or through reckless or careless behavior. Nationwide, crashes have involved these devices have surged. Studies show that serious injuries have doubled. According to Fox 12 Oregon, e-scooter crashes began being tracked in 2020, and e-bike crashes were added to state reporting in 2022. And some of the injuries are significant more because of the speed and the weight of these new devices. But according to ODOT, in 2020, there was 3, but at the end, you'll see in the staff report in 2024, it rose to 42 for the e-scooters. E-bike crashes were recorded in 2022 at 30 and increased to 82 in 2024. Recognizing these growing concerns and due to collisions in and around Happy Valley, the city of Happy Valley took proactive steps by developing a city ordinance designed to promote public safety, reduce conflicts in shared public spaces, and protect pedestrians, bicyclists, and other users of the public right-of-way. A recent meeting between Clackamas County mayors and the Clackamas County board chair, this ordinance was presented as a model for other cities and counties that are also considering implementing similar regulations. One thing that if you haven't seen it, the key provisions of the ordinance include definitions of what an electric bike is, mobility devices, a scooter, and vehicles manufactured for off-road. And I think we've probably seen a little bit of all of that around town. Additionally, they discussed the ordinance general operating regulations that include unlawful operation of electric micromobility device, operating on sidewalks, parks, boardwalks, or other public property designated primarily for pedestrian use. Age classifications to operate, wearing protective gear if under 16 years of age, failure to utilize bike lanes when available, that does include exceptions, and that's something we can talk about, or exceptions, or passing a person without audible warning. The ordinance also provides exceptions for people with disabilities, and I think we need to consider those at the same time. On July 29, 26, the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee for Gladstone held a public meeting that included participation from community members. During public comment, 10 residents spoke about e-bikes and electric micromobility devices, offering the following input: e-bike operations on trails, parks, and pedestrian walkways, bicycles passing without audible notification, responsible riders expressing support for an ordinance that would allow e-bikes use in parks, balanced regulation that supports e-bike access while prioritizing safety. Following a discussion, the Traffic Safety Committee unanimously agreed that an ordinance addressing e-bikes and electric micromobility devices is needed and recommends working with the City Council. So their recommendation was to come to City Council. Included in the packet, you received a summary of the results of the current e-bike safety. And I won't necessarily go through the entire PowerPoint, but I think it's important that everyone hears the benefits of e-bikes in the community. Common benefits, were affordable transportation for work, school, and recreation, improved mobility for older adults and individuals with health or mobility limitations, reduce resilience on vehicles, helping decrease traffic emissions, encourages outdoor recreation, exercise, and family. And some respondents felt like e-bikes provided little to no community benefit, but also several noted that safety education and responsible riding are important to maximize these benefits. Community suggestions and experiences, the most common themes included safety concerns, including speeding, helmet, and traffic law compliance, increased education for riders, parents about safe and legal operation, consistent enforcement of existing laws, particularly for unsafe riding behaviors, concerning younger riders operating at higher speeds, and clear distinction between legal e-bikes and higher speed electric motorcycles. Infrastructure suggestions, expand bike lanes and improve connections to existing trails, add signage for guidance for shared paths and pedestrian areas, improve lighting requirements and wayfinding, and consider a measure to reduce conflicts between pedestrian and riders. One of the important comments that was issued or accepted by Happy Valley is the general operating regulations, which I think speak towards a lot of these concerns, which is unlawful operation of electric micromobility devices, operating on sidewalks, boardwalks, et cetera. So everything I think I've already discussed already with you. So I think an ordinance would cover that. But what really wasn't talked about is the education piece, which I think is probably the most important piece of any ordinance is education. And what does that education look like? You know, just arbitrarily, because this is a discussion. You know, we obviously, you know, we do a lot by social media, we do a lot by the newsletter and so on. But if we really want to address safety concerns and really get all that information out to kids, we need to work through our schools. And I think our SRO is a great vehicle to get that information out there. I also think a lot of events like our community festival and those things, talking about e-bikes, maybe getting some experts in to discuss those, and mostly for parents, because, you know, the one I stopped, the parent had no idea it was illegal. And they thought it was just okay. And it wasn't. It just wasn't okay. Doing a wheelie down Portland Avenue is not okay. Right? But, and it's kind of funny, but until somebody gets hurt. And that's the important thing to discuss. So I guess, you know, what we're looking at through discussion and what I'm hoping to come out of here with is, you know, does the city council want to look at adopting an ordinance like or similar to the Happy Valley ordinance, which we think is very good. We can make our own exceptions or additions to that based on what we're hearing from the community, or direct staff to move in a different direction other than ordinance. And I guess that's, I don't know if the city administrator has anything she wants to add to this or.
No, that is correct. We're looking for a direction. Do you want us to go towards an ordinance? Do you want to have a separate work session? You tell us what your comfort level is when it comes to e-bikes and these devices.
I just have a clarifying question. The numbers, the data from 2020, 2021, all those numbers, do we not have 2025? Because I feel like it's been such an uptick of.
Yes, I didn't find it, or I wasn't sure whether it was going to be accurate or not, so I just didn't include it.
Okay, thanks.
Have we had any accidents in Gladstone itself with e-bikes to date?
I know we have one with a scooter, a micromobility.
Go ahead.
So I guess my understanding is pedestrians, bicyclists, skateboarders are considered vulnerable road users. I guess my question is, at the end of the day, it becomes a matter of enforcement and education, which I agree wholeheartedly. And I'd love to see the schools really focus on that, especially on the topic of head trauma. I think there's a great education opportunity there. But I guess my question is, my understanding is there are rules on the books about how to handle a bicycle as it is, or to be what you should do as a pedestrian or as a bicyclist. How you know, we shouldn't be riding bicycles on sidewalks. The same would be true for an e-bike, is my understanding. I guess my question is, how would it make a difference?
Because some of the laws are so ambiguous when it comes to these e-bikes, it's very difficult. It's difficult for the officers to figure out which violation it is, or is it a violation? That's what I've heard. Now, sidewalk usage, sure. I mean, that's the ORS has that in there. But there's also ways, if there's no bike lanes available and it's a safety concern, are we going to enforce it, and where is it going to be enforced? So those are a lot of the areas, things that we need to consider is a bicycle on a bike, on a sidewalk, let's say down Portland Avenue when nobody's out there, down on this end, would that be okay? Versus a jam-packed more downtown towards Dartmouth.
And I think
Right.
yeah.
And so then you look at, because there's other jurisdictions that have exceptions. And I know that because I worked in one of them. And so when you look at that, then you can place things, does the council, want to consider, where those bikes or e-bikes are being ridden that are more pedestrian based, or is it more shared? And we can identify those because I know the city of Eugene does based on my research, and I know way too much about this stuff now than I ever dreamed of, or the city of Seaside that has restrictions on where those bikes go, especially electronic bikes specifically, only because they go faster and people aren't necessarily, as much as we want to say they obey the law, they don't necessarily obey the rules, and they're a little bit careless and reckless, especially when they're around people.
And
not everybody, but
I totally appreciate that. I just wonder if, someone can ride a bicycle pretty fast too. I know there's a weight difference, and I just feel like there are rules that exist now that cover a lot of this. I wonder if that ordinance is really going to help solve the problem, I guess.
Well, I think it's a combination, just not enforcement. So I'm of the belief that you'll never arrest your way out of a problem.
Absolutely.
I'm totally of that agreement. We're never going to arrest our way out of a problem. But the more we can do on top of that, the better off everybody's going to be.
I want to piggyback off Labonte if I can. I kind of like the direction you're going there, and we're all I'm a '90s kid. I think we're all '90s kids here. I'm not sure, but I remember skateboarding. Right, that was a lot of fun. And then one day, everywhere I went, there were signs everywhere that said, I can't skateboard here, right? And it sucked all the fun out of it. And a lot of what I'm hearing here is kids not on their phones, not on their tablets, not at their houses. They're out and about. They're on the trails. They're at the parks. They're seeing our downtown city. And my fear is if we chokehold this a little bit, it's going to suck some of the fun out of it. And then they're not going to want to do it. My daughter rides her scooter. It goes 19 miles, not 20. I don't know if there's a reason why I can't go 20, but she's crashed, absolutely ate stuff, covered in scabs, smiling ear to ear. So I know there's a safety component. She's wearing a helmet, by the way. I'm a good dad, but I understand there's a safety component, but then that's what kids do. Kids get hurt. They go out and about. They live their best lives. So I support the education. I support us having an open dialogue and making sure that these shared spaces are shared and not being taken over. But I am very fearful that I think a light touch is a good touch. That's my 2 pennies.
Councilor Garland?
I don't know if Chief wanted to say something.
No, I don't disagree with you. And this is the whole thing. I think what's important is how you apply the rules, how you apply the law. But you need the tools on the books in order to deal with recklessness, negligence, carelessness. And if you don't have those rules on the books, it's very hard to get people to comply.
Go ahead, please.
I wanted to just touch on that other side of this that we were talking about, which is that education piece. So I guess my question is, in thinking about what that education piece, I have one question. Anybody that owns an e-bike, do you have to have a different helmet than a bike helmet? Is it the same helmet?
It's my understanding it's the same helmet.
Okay, so we have helmets in Gladstone. That could be part of our education piece. We could do a little booklet, something similar to what you get at the DMV to get your permit, maybe, and then maybe do one of those e-bike class things, or how you do the bike rodeo, maybe do some sort of a class. And those would be my 3 points to bring it back to an education piece. And what is it? When you know better, you do better. So I would also like to see us go from that route.
Yeah, and a little follow-up on because I have got some educational pieces. I actually stole it, which is a bad term for me, but I took it from Washington County Sheriff's Office. And so the lieutenant and I have been reviewing it and looking at it, but just need to figure out how it's going to work for us. And they put together a great document. So I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. I think it's already out there.
I would also like to see something that makes it clear the difference between a recreational use and the use by somebody who is disabled. Because sometimes there can be a bit of a blur there, especially if you're talking, say, a trike. You can either be riding that trike because you're recreating, or you could be riding that trike because you need to ride that trike. And so I would really like to see something on the books, and also an emphasis to make sure that we are clear about what is a, mobility device as opposed to a micro mobility device.
Yes.
I personally would be interested in a work session, especially where we can like really review the existing rules around bicycles as it is, and how that might apply to the e-bike situation that exists or doesn't exist.
I have two. First, if we did do a work session or education or something like that, would we possibly be able to pull from Happy Valley, like representatives for them to discuss how this has been going for them? Or how
I mean, we can reach out to the chief
Mhm.
of Happy Valley
Mhm.
and see if he's available.
Okay.
Chief Mendoza is a very good guy. So.
And then second, so I know I work at Happy Valley, so I know there was discussion about this, like how it would be policed and enforced. Like for today, I was leaving work and a kid was on a residential street, just like, all the way back, and he's just going all the way down the thing, full speed ahead. And my heart actually like stopped. So like how can citizens help with that? Like, I don't know, like.
So there's ways citizens can report it. They can call non-emergency. They can, those are the ways citizens can report it. And what's interesting is, when you look at Happy Valley, or you look at issues in Washington County where the sheriff's office did a bunch of stings out there because of reckless behavior, riding, doing wheelies and so on, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I'm sure that's not what anybody up there is talking about. So when you look at those and those machines that they're riding, they've got foot pegs. They don't have pedals. They're not legal to be on the streets. There's nothing legal about them to be on the streets. They're an electric motorcycle. But that's what these kids are riding, but they're being sold as e-bikes. And so that education needs to get out there. But to answer some of your questions too, Happy Valley is a much bigger area, right? Gladstone's a little bit smaller. It's everybody kind of knows everybody, and we can find out who's doing what.
With regard to the issue of intercommunity, support and involvement. I serve on the executive committee of the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee, C4, where we have monthly meetings with representatives of different cities to talk about issues we have in common. And just last night, we talked about putting the whole e-bike and e-scooter issue on an agenda for a future meeting, because we have cities that are now really focusing on it, and we'd like to all be on the same page and have people kind of understand things together. So I think that cooperation and inter-city consultation will take place. I always appreciated when Councilor Levante first moved to Gladstone, you got involved very quickly in traffic safety issues, and you reminded us that the 3 E's traditionally associated with traffic safety: education, enforcement, and engineering. And on the engineering component of that, if you've been driven on East Dartmouth Street lately, you see that we have newly painted bike lanes where there were not painted bike lanes before. And we've been in conversation with people in the business community and other citizens about doing that in other sections of the city as well, Portland Avenue in particular. So we will have some new engineering, which we hope will slow auto traffic, make make it safer for bicycle traffic. And the education component of this, I think, is essential. We've all agreed on that. And I think the bike rodeo idea, the pamphlet idea, anything that will get the word out so that parents are informed for where kids are involved and adults understand. And some people to those 3 E's also add, I think there are 3 more, and I know equity is one of them. And so I appreciate Councilor Blaug's attention to the fact that these are in some cases, a mobility device for people, and that we need to treat that appropriately as well. And there's also the environmental impact of people using an e-bike or just a regular bike as an alternative to an automobile. But the safety aspect of this, speed, the force of a vehicle in an impact and collision is proportional to the square of the speed. So speed is certainly something that has to be essential to what we do in enforcing this. And also it has to do with the weight. And these are much heavier than regular passenger bicycles. So both those factors mean this is a very important safety issue for us to address. If we can do it legislatively, that will be one component of it, but I think we need to see across the board all the things that are a part of doing that. And we need to provide clarity so that existing regulations, we just know whether you can you ride it on the sidewalk? Do you have to ride it in a bike lane? All of that is really not real clear to people right now because a lot of this technology is fairly new and our laws are fairly old. So I think we're on a good path here. I'm sensing a strong consensus that we want to see some sample ordinances that we can react to. We got excellent feedback from the community. I mentioned this to my wife that we were discussing this, and I said, they asked the questions, what benefits, if any, do e-bikes provide to your community? And the first word out of her mouth was none. And I said, yeah, you're right. There were a lot of people who said that. That's what a lot of people said. But our daughter pointed out that our grandchildren, who were 4 years old when they moved to Gladstone, are twins, and they were 12 years old when I was first appointed to the city council. They'll turn 21 tomorrow. And I said, what's changed in your neighborhood? And she said, well, when we first moved here, there were a lot of children in the neighborhood and the kids played together and they really, there was a lot of community involvement and connection. But what we see in a lot of communities is generationally, children grow up, they move away, and communities are left without very many kids. But she says there is a new generation of children. But one of the things she's noticed, their mother has noticed, is that the children now who get together and play with each other, they come together from longer distances because they have these mobility devices, the scooters, the bikes, the e-bikes that enable them to come from all over and gather. And so they contribute positively to that sense of community and that sense of connection that we strive for in our community. But anything we do comes with some downsides. And I'm glad that the community members are sensitive to both the positives and the negatives of this technology, and that we are going to make an effort to try to incorporate it into our code in a positive and productive way that addresses all of that. So, okay, you've got your instructions. I don't know that we'll get this accomplished by August, but if you bring us something that might get us a little closer, it's like anything we do. These are
and I think time is on our side with this because we do want to see how it is working in other cities that have it. I don't believe we should be creating laws just if there's not a problem. So I'm looking at probably a work session in September. And I think that gives us time to kind of collectively look at our current regulations and just have a conversation. We'll continue to collect feedback from the community and then we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that brings us to the end of our regular agenda items. Is there any business carried forward that you're aware of, Administrator Bennett?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Business from the audience. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to bring to the council's attention any item not otherwise listed on the agenda. Did we have anyone who requested to do that tonight?
We had one, but it's been withdrawn.
Okay. All right. So none there. So we go to business from the council. An opportunity for council members to share things of interest to all of us. So I will start down at the end with Councilor Huckabee and work my way across.
Mine is easy peasy tonight. I don't have much. Everybody have a safe summer. Enjoy the community festival, and please leave our life jackets at High Rocks Park.
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to the police and fire departments for another great barbecue on July 4th. Want to give a shout out that the library is still doing their summer reading and summer programming. So bring your kids or bring yourselves and check that out. And also want to say enjoy the community festival. Thank you.
Let's see. So I wanted to provide a little update on the Metro Future Vision work that I'm doing, and to invite any Gladstone youth age 14 to 24 to Future Fest, which is the Metro Youth Council Future Vision summit that is coming up. It'll be at PSU. It is free, but you do need to register. And as far as the Future Vision committee itself, we are working on regional values right now, and we'll meet again in August to go over those some more. And Letic is on summer break. And oh yeah, I know it's been brought up a couple of times, but as a reminder, Meldrum Bar parking is free to Gladstone residents. You just need to come in and get yourself a parking pass. And I also we've been touching on safety a lot. So I was in a minor fender bender on 205 with a distracted teen driver. And so I would like to remind all of our teen drivers that it's really great to be hanging out in the car with your friends on a summer day. But distracted driving is a thing, especially for new drivers. So please pay attention. That's all I had.
All right. I'd like to say thank you to our city staff, to our police department, the hard work that you guys do out there, the officers and sergeants in hot weather and doing their job professionally, to the public works who are busting their butt on hot days, dealing with all types of wacky issues. I want to just give some props to the paving projects that seem to have been going pretty smoothly and making our city look nice and tidy and sharp. Chief Schmerber, I was wrong about Dartmouth Avenue. I was always kind of a voice against the lines, but now that I see him there, kudos, good work on that. I know there's many years coming, so thank you. I see it now. And just, the parking tickets, maybe something can happen there, because I think it's working against some of our city goals, but one way or the other. Thank you guys very much.
I just want to thank everyone for being here. I've been spending a lot of my time at Meldrum Bar, which I love, and I've been paying full price because I keep forgetting that it's free for residents. And then there's a parking pass, and every time I get there, I'm like, this is the day. This is the day. And I have to buy that bloody ticket because we have such a wonderful police presence at Meldrum Bar that they're going to get me every time. So I buy the ticket. So I'm out like $15 right now, but that's okay. But I'm loving it down there. And I love our city, and not to be a smart butt, but me and my daughter have been riding her electric scooter, my bike, all around town, and my bike's right behind that window right now because she's inspired me to get out and about. And it's been really fun and bonding. I told our city administrator we did like a tour of parks where we rode all around Gladstone and saw all the parks, and it's just beautiful. We just have such a beautiful city, and so I really appreciate being here.
Okay, I'm a little envious of your tour of the parks. That's kind of cool. That's a neat idea. What a great idea for the summertime. So our library board meets next Monday. I was going to say there's a lot of programming left out there. Thank you for reminding me of that. Our last meeting, we talked a lot about budget, and we talked a lot about how much of our budget was going to administrative fees. It was a very long, hard talk to have, but I think everybody understood it at the end of the day, and that was not fun. I'll just have to say that. I too would like to say thank you to the fire and the police for the 4th of July. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see everybody there. And when I woke up that morning and had to run to the store and it was 62 degrees, I thought, oh no. And then the clouds parted and what a beautiful day we had, right? So I appreciate that too from whoever brought those good thoughts on that. Counselor Blau, is there a flyer for that Future Vision Youth that you can share?
Yeah, I will put one up on my social, and I was going to put one up in the library as well, but you can find the link to register for that on Metro Future Vision Youth section.
I'm assuming that has a QR code on it of some sort.
Yeah,
If I got
it should.
The shed at the nature park.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I can drop you a flyer too.
I can, if you just show me the way and I will find that. And then I'd like to just a little shout out. So our Women's Caucus puts on what we call a We Talk about 3 or 4 times a year. This on September 3rd, Nicole Singh, who is the lead of the LOC priorities groups. So she's the one that oversees everything that happens down. On September 3rd at 5:30, there will be a Zoom meeting. And this is our We Talk. It is open to men and women. And she is going to go over that pamphlet that we got, that we are going to be voting on September 10th. Am I right?
That is correct.
So that if anybody doesn't have a chance to read it over, or it seems overwhelming, like somebody like me, this is a perfect opportunity to get on with her. She's going to do a short 20-minute presentation, and then it's open completely to Q&A. So if you need some more information, want some more information, that will be a perfect opportunity to do that. And as soon as I have that little blurb from the LLC, I'll pass it on to Administrator Betts, and she can share it with everybody, because for 1 hour at the end of that, I'm assured that we will all understand more everything, that all of the work that people have done in those priority committees to bring about that magazine that we have. I'm excited about the community festival. I'm going to put the word out for more volunteers, and I would hope that the rest of the council could just nudge their friends who might have just an hour to help out. That would be great.
I'd also like to add, there will be a city booth at the festival. If any counselors want to come for respite, just to hang out for an hour or two, you're welcome to do that. So.
Just to say a little bit more about what Councilor Garlington said, one of the things that, is not what we sometimes think of our role, but as city councilors and elected officials, there are a lot of state level issues having to do with legislation proposed by our representatives, where we like to set some priorities and give some input so that we can speak in a unified voice with other cities, with other counties, with cities that are similar to ours in this region, with similar cities that are different from ours, but have issues that are important to them where they need advocacy from a larger group. So that's the reason why we'll be looking at some proposed legislative priorities and weighing in on them. And I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you brought up a way for us to get a little more learning about it beforehand. Let's see. I also want to thank, we try to be a community that is safe, that gives people opportunity and abundance of opportunity to grow and to improve the quality of their life. And it's great that tonight we had our police department represented here. We had our fire department represented here. We had a good discussion about a public safety issue or two that are important to our community. And with John Lagarza's input and the Economic Development Committee too, a discussion at the beginning of some of the process, again, of giving people more opportunities to grow economically, to be able to earn enough at their chosen job or profession to be able to pay our ever increasing rates for the utility services. But that's also part of what it means to be a safe community, is to have good water and sewer and stormwater services. And so that's the complicated job of being a city council. Sometimes you have to make the hard decisions and do the things that are addressed for the purpose of improving the greater good for everyone, but they come with a little bit of pain. And I appreciate everyone's honesty and forthrightness in expressing their views on things tonight. This is what transparency and openness is about in government. So I'm grateful to all of you for doing that. I think we have, I think that's about it for this evening. So if someone would like to make a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, it's been moved by Councillor Huckabee and seconded by Councillor Garlington. Thank you to all staff who were here tonight. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yes.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Counselor Labonte,
Yeah.
Counselor Farley,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington.
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, we are adjourned at 8:48 p.m.